Troops rescue 31 kidnapped victims in Sokoto. Governor Fintri Adama CP condemned police headquarters attack, call for calm. Court grants former CBN Governor Emefiele 300 million naira bail. On the foreign scene, Israel-Hamas agree 4-day truce, 50 hostages to go free. These are the headlines on Trust TV News Update at this hour. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for joining. Troops of the Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Hadarin-Daji have rescued 31 kidnapped victims in Sokoto State. This followed a series of clearance operations by the task force at the terrorist enclaves in its areas of operations in the Northwest. In a statement made available on Wednesday in Gusau, the spokesperson for Operation Hadarin-Daji, Captain Yahaya Ibrahim, said that the troops in Tangaza local government area of Sokoto State cleared Aliya Fulani village and Buani forest, where 30 kidnapped persons were rescued. He disclosed that all bandits' hideouts discovered by the troops were destroyed as the terrorists abandoned their captives and fled from their camps before the arrival of the troops. The troops also proceeded to Goboro village, where one female kidnapped victim was rescued. The Commissioner of Police in Adamawa State, Afolabi Babatola, has strongly condemned the recent conflict between some police and military officers in Yola North local government area of Adamawa State. The clash, which resulted in an exchange of fire and brutal attack on the police facility, led to the death of Inspector Jacob Daniel. The CP has therefore ordered an immediate investigation into the matter to ensure justice is served and peace is restored. The police boss called for calm and assuring the public that the top management of both security agencies are working to address the situation in a legal and judicious manner. He also warned that attacks on security officers in the line of duty will no longer be tolerated under any guise, adding that any unwarranted conflict will be dealt with in accordance with the extant laws. In the meantime, the Adamawa State Governor Umaru Fintiri has called on the people of the state to remain calm and go about their businesses. In a statement made available to journalists by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Homwashi Wonosiko, the Governor appealed for tolerance among security agencies, describing the incident as unacceptable at a time of peace building. While regretting the ugly incident, Governor Fintiri disclosed that government is on top of the situation and appealed to the parties to exercise restraint in the overall interests of peace in the state. He urged all security personnel on special assignment to remain at their duty posts and conduct themselves with a high sense of maturity. Kano State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Haruna Isa Dederi says that the certified copy of appeal court judgment on Kano State governorship election has affirmed the victory of Abba Kabiru Yusuf as duly elected governor of Kano State. Isa Dederi made the disclosure while addressing a news conference on Tuesday night. He said in the fresh revelation, as indicated in the written judgment, the Court of Appeal set aside the judgment of the Kano Election Petition Tribunal for lacking in merit. The three-member panel of the appeal court on Friday, 17th of November 2023, had dismissed the appeal filed by Governor Yusuf on the basis of his membership status. Now, the appellate court subsequently affirmed Nasiru Gawuna of the All Progressives Congress as winner of the March 25, 2023 governorship poll in Kano. Dederi, however, said that page 67 of the certified copy of the judgment clearly indicated that the tribunal's ruling that sacked Governor Yusuf was set aside. Now, earlier we had Daily Trust Judiciary correspondent John Chooks, who gave an insight on the Kano CTC judgment controversy.
Decision are usually copies have been endorsed. That's after, usually when cases are brought before the court goes through the argument of both sides, which will include applications, motions, and processes. And then the court also looks at the adumbration. So during the adumbration process, the parties are arguing. They're actually canvassing their points. And the court will also take note of those points. So in arriving at decisions, the court will combine what were filed and the line of the canvas, the argument, and combine it to arrive at this decision based on the facts. And usually the court may read out a portion of his decision and then ask the parties to apply for certified true copies. Those certified true copies, by law, they are supposed to be made available within 7 days after the judgment. And the process nowadays is faster, but I think 7 days is a required time in law. So within that period, the court passes on its judgment to the administrative department, the secretariat. They will type it, they will bring it to the judge or the justices. They will go through it, and if there are corrections, usually that within that process that corrections are made before they are then certified. By certifying is that you are signing, cross-signing, and stamping on the relevant pages, and then endorsed, signed, and then handed over to the parties upon payment of the prescribed certification fees. That becomes authentic document that can be utilized for purposes of enforcement or for purposes of appeal if any of the parties affected are not satisfied. So I do believe that in the instant case, the Kano State governorship election, these were the processes that took place. The parties filed all the documentations, the motions, applications, and raised issues that were also counter-argued and counter-filed against. And at the end of the day, the court having listened to both sides and studied their arguments and their submissions, the court then made a determination. Now, most of the times, the certified true copies are the true representation of what the judges say. In most instances, that should be the true representation of what the judges intended to achieve in their decision.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has expressed satisfaction with the progress of work at the construction sites in various areas of the FCT. Wike disclosed this while on inspection of some projects within the FCT. Habiba Tajai has more.
During the inspection, the FCT minister reviewed the progress of projects undertaken by Julius Berger and Cetraco Complaints. These projects include the ongoing construction of the Vice President's official residence, the B12 road linking to the airport road, and the B6 road. Additionally, the inspection covered the Southern Parkway project contracted to Cetraco, extending from the Central Bank of Nigeria to Nnamdi Azikiwe Road. Both contractors have committed to completing the projects before May 2024.
As you can see here, the structure itself, the carcass, has been done in those 13 years ago, 12 years ago. Also, if you see inside, some of the finishing works like the stone tiling and some ceilings and wall panels have been installed. So we are in a process to finalize this project in a record time, as promised. As you can see, last time we were here, there was plenty bush, so we did already the clearing. We did the cleaning inside. We have already mobilized our team. Our facilities are here, and the next step is to order all equipment which is required, all finishing products, to speed up, since the schedule is very, very tight.
We'll finish the asphalt from the beginning, the wiring course till the Ransom Kurti Bridge, and we are doing the earthworks around the Ring Road 1 flyover to finish as promised and as promised.
Addressing the press shortly after the inspection, Wike assured of the president's unwavering support to ensure the timely completion and mobilization for projects that are crucial for national development.
We will prioritize and we'll discuss with the contractors that will have the funds. If we give them the funds, what time will they take them to complete these projects? The first we did was to identify projects that would can be completed within 1 year in office as a president. And this is one of the projects we have funded them and will continue to fund them.
On funding the projects, the minister says he will use the territory's internally generated revenue to make up for approved shortfalls. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The irregularity in convening the State Executive Council meetings in Osun State is generating concerns among residents in the state. The current administration of Governor Ademola Adeleke has only held 4 State Executive Council meetings in the last 1 year, a clear departure from the conventional practice of weekly meetings. This has left many wondering what could be responsible for this and the likely impact on governance. Hamid Oegbade reports.
The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria expressly provides that the President and governors shall hold regular meetings with members of their cabinets to ensure smooth running of the affairs of governments at both levels. But in the last 12 months, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has only held 4 State Executive Council meetings, unlike the conventional weekly state cabinet meeting by his predecessors.
So as far as the law is concerned, the law does not stipulate the exact number of days. But the chief executive of the state, the governor, is expected to, play the game of democracy properly by carrying people along, have meetings frequently. Because it is when you have meetings frequently that you'll be able, to get critical buy-in of stakeholders in that particular state. Is then you'll be able to access, solid opinions, solid views that will enable you to drive, the so-called developmental agenda, that such a person has as a governor. So, law, critically speaking, no number of meetings. But that does not mean that the governor should not be having meetings frequently. And at times, certain customs are stronger, are more powerful even than law. Look at a country like Great Britain, for instance. They don't have a written constitution like we have, but they have very powerful, conventions. And the democracy in Great Britain has been there for centuries now, and is one of the most stable democracy, in the world. Why? They go by convention. Part of the convention when it comes to democratic governance is that the chief executive of a state should be having consultations, should be having meetings where decisions will be taken.
The Dean of the Faculty of Law, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, Wole Adedeji said, beyond the law, conventional practices should not be jettisoned.
By accident, successive governor of Osun has been holding ESCO meeting on weekly basis, some on Monday, some on Wednesday, but the current administration has not been able to do ESCO more than twice that are known to the public.
As the current administration in Osun State clocks 1 year on November 27, citizens of the state want Governor Ademola Adeleke to buckle up and deliver on his promises to the people of the state. Hamid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
Justice Hamza Muazu of the Federal Capital Territory High Court Abuja has granted the immediate past governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, bail in the sum of 300 million naira and 2 sureties in life sum. The sureties, according to the bail conditions, must have certificates of occupancy and titles of properties within the Maitama district. Emefiele is mandated to deposit all his travel documents with the registrar of the court and must remain within the Abuja Municipal Council. He is also expected to remain in the Kuje Correctional Center pending when he meets the bail conditions. Emefiele was absent Wednesday morning for the ruling on his bail application. His lawyer, Matthew Buruka, however, said that it was normal as he is already at the Kuje Correctional Center. This comes 4 months after the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos granted him bail in the sum of 20 million naira. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up shortly. Now we take a look at stakeholders' call for concerted efforts to tackle Noma disease. Details and more after the break.
That's right. You too could be one of the 20 Zenith Bank customers that will win 150,000 naira every 2 weeks from June 1st, 2023 until May 31st, 2024 in the Zenith Better Life Promo 3. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife. Live the better life with Zenith Bank.
Why did you develop this reputation as somebody who is difficult to work with?
I will tell the truth. No matter whose ox is born, I will say exactly how it is.
This is where I actually sympathize with commissioners of nowadays, where a commissioner sometimes is just a picture. You find somebody, even a cleaner and the governor's wife, can interfere with their abilities.
Even the ministers, there are very many who respected me simply because I never complained about them. I never went to ask for a favor. Never.
So none of that has happened?
Nothing.
But if it hasn't happened, do you have hope that now another government coming in?
There's no hope.
So you've given up on politics?
I've given up. It's gone, it's gone.
Retrenchment from work is the most hated thing by unions. It's loss of job means that is loss of life. In fact, for civil servants at that time.
Nigeria's economy, Nigeria's security, Nigeria's intelligence. This is what the materials we were handling. And I thought government would be very interested.
The reasons why you adopted federalism is not because of finesse, not because you like it. It's because of its functional utility.
Welcome back. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Troops rescue 31 kidnapped victims in Sokoto. Plus, Governor Fintiri Adamawa CP condemned police headquarters attack, call for calm. In other news, Borno State Governor Babagana Umara Zulum has announced the closure of government's senior secondary school Mongunu IDP's camp to pave way for the rehabilitation of the school and resumption of academic activities. Zulum made the announcement on Tuesday during an inspection visit at the camp to assess the extent of destruction resulting from Boko Haram attack. Now, Zulum stated that the IDPs will be relocated to occupy 1,000 resettlement houses built for citizens affected by the over 1 decade-old Boko Haram insurgency. The governor also noted that IDPs who are from communities and villages that have attained relative peace will be returned, particularly those from Kekeno, Mile 90 and Yoyo, among others. The governor said that Borno State government will provide a resettlement package to those that are willing to return to their ancestral lands. Stakeholders in the nation's health sector have called for concerted effort to address the challenge posed by Noma disease in the country. They made the call at an event to mark this year's National Day of Noma. Noel Samson reports.
It is an infectious but not contagious bacterial disease that starts as an inflammation of the gums, similar to a small mouth ulcer. The infection destroys the bone and tissue very quickly, affecting the jaws, lip, cheeks, nose or eyes, depending on where the infection started. The disease affects young children's tissue whose resistance are undermined severely. A 2019 study estimated that from 2010 to 2018, the prevalence rate of Noma in Nigeria was 1.6 per 100,000 population. Hence, the need for the federal government to intensify efforts to address the disease.
It's usually done by very impoverished, it usually affects impoverished children because of malnutrition and bad health care. And then by the time it happens, usually this happens in very rural settings, attention has not been paid much to the children that are afflicted by this disease. So you discover that a number of children, into hundreds, are afflicted, but the attention of either the governments of our countries and also healthcare generally is not focused on them.
This year alone, we have seen more than 300 patients with Noma, including the active and follow-up cases. But for the active cases alone, we have seen more than 140 active cases this year alone, and we are now in November.
To address the challenge, the federal government has reaffirmed its willingness to find lasting solutions to Noma.
The federal government, in collaboration with partners, is working assiduously to eliminate the scourge of Noma and to restore dignity to the victims in Nigeria. The Federal Ministry of Health has established National Noma Control Program and Technical Working Group aimed at prevention and control of the disease.
The National Orientation Agency has been part of it, facilitating the training of our community orientation and mobilization officers, who in turn, after the training, go into the communities, liaising with the leaders, opinion molders, and gatekeepers, including the traditional healers. You know, we have people who will tell you that this disease is from witchcraft.
It is important to mention that Nigeria, in collaboration with other African countries as well as partners, requested the World Health Organization to include Noma into the neglected tropical diseases list. This move will further spotlight Noma so as to receive the required attention it deserves.
Experts say prevention of Noma disease lies in food security, measles vaccination, prevention of malaria and HIV, including early detection. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Joint Committee of the National Assembly on National Planning has warned that members must not do anything regarding legislations that can compound the already dire economic situation in the country. Chairman of the Senate Committee on National Planning and Economic Affairs, Yahaya Abdullahi, gave the warning at the inaugural meeting of the House Committee on National Planning on Wednesday. On his part, the chairman of the House Committee on National Planning, Ibrahim Ayokule Isiaka, said that the committees can only succeed in their assignment if they work together and reinforce one another as a team.
We may have different interpretations of what is happening to our country and to our economy, but the facts of the matter are visible for all of us to see. We are currently in one of the worst economic crises that has ever faced this country. And therefore, I think it is important and onus is on us, the two committees, to sit down, engage with the executive arm of government so that we can be able to think through the basic issues that are central to the workings of this economy and the challenges that we are facing and the way forward.
To enable us to succeed in this assignment, we need to strive and strive, tame the elements, subdue circumstances, be flexible and adaptable to the 10th Assembly legislative agenda, recognized and respected on the discharge of our duties. I humbly, therefore, request for your support and guidance, which will be critical in bringing about the positive renewed hope mantras.
And away from Nigeria, Israel and Hamas on Wednesday agreed to a ceasefire in Gaza for at least 4 days to let in aid and release at least 50 hostages captured by militants in exchange for at least 150 Palestinians jailed in Israel. The first truce reached after mediation by Qatar was hailed around the world as a sign of progress that could ease the suffering of Gaza's civilians and bring more Israeli hostages home. Israel said that the ceasefire could be extended further as long as more hostages were freed. Meanwhile, the United Nations has welcomed the deal between Israel and Hamas to free hostages and pause the fighting and bombardment in Gaza, but said that much needed to be done. U.S. Secretary General Antonio Guterres described the move as an important step in the right direction. And in sports news, LeBron James became the first player to score 39,000 points in the NBA as the LA Lakers beat the Utah Jazz in the in-season tournament, needing 5 points. He scored 17 instead. 17 in a 1-3-1-9 victory in Los Angeles that secured a quarter-final place. And James, 38, surpassed Lakers legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's tally of 38,387 points in February to become the leading scorer of all time. The four-time NBA Most Valuable Player saluted the crowd at the Crypto.com arena when his achievement was announced. James recorded 9 assists and 7 rebounds, and teammate Anthony Davis scored 26 points and made 16 rebounds. And that's a wrap on the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching.